Hello. Happy. Oh my gosh, I almost said Tuesday because I'm so used to it, but it's Wednesdays now.
It's
Happy
Wednesdays now.
Yeah, welcome to Archetype, guys. Sponsored by Dell. How's it
Yeah.
going? Yeah, Dell.
I know. I'm gonna get the directions right.
Yeah, one of these days.
One of these days.
But how's it going, Chris?
It's going good. Ashley Stegon, senior character artist. As we are here for Archetype. Thank you all for joining us. I guess I should see. I'm watching this full screen, but I gotta make it smaller so I can actually see the chat.
The chat's the best part.
Yeah, chat is the best part. I know. I got so wrapped up. Oh, how are you? How have you been since I last saw you last week?
I'm good. I'm good. So we're wrapping up our Paladin character, but I've been busy, during the work week. But then I realized that this is week 4, and I thought I'd just challenge myself to finish up the details and then go ahead and pose it today.
A challenge.
Why not? I feel like, I don't know, it's weird. I want like the consistency of 4 episodes every time.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be like, come on, Ashley, you can do it. So cheer me on, chat.
I think that's the way that goes. Yeah, chat. She does this for you. Definitely not for me.
All for you guys. So yeah, I'm just trying to finish up some details. So I want to try to spend about an hour finish up details, and then the last hour we can spend kind of posing and stuff. But yeah, so I just put little shoes on,
Little shoes.
Little shoes.
Well,
if
so for those who don't know, what's happening? Where are we? What is this? What am I even?
I know. What are we even? We're looking at cuteness, right?
Yeah, we are. We are indeed. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
Well, if I can move my mouse, because I know how to computer.
I know how to computer.
Yeah, so this is week 4, but week 1 we start with a cool concept or drawing or just an idea, and usually that lets it kind of grows and becomes its own in the chat, depending on what ideas you guys throw out there. Mm-hmm. So we're doing D&D characters, so we came out with a Paladin, but it turned into a Paladin because we thought it'd be fun to do a cute corgi mount with this cool like dwarf character that we got going on. So we finalized this concept week 1, and then we've just been kind of sculpting ever since and trying to get this guy all nice and figured out. So yeah, a lot of fun on this guy. I just realized that in my concept he's his mouth is open. I'm gonna have to open up his mouth. But
gonna have to open up that mouth.
Yep. But yeah, so it's been super fun. I actually have been really enjoying sculpting this character because I'm trying to keep him a little more simplified than maybe some of the other ones that I've done, but I honestly can't tell anymore. I tend to sometimes lose track and just be like, oh, let's just keep adding. I don't know, you get on a roll and then you're like, let's just keep adding some fun details and stuff. But I'm trying to keep his details fairly simplified. There's a couple other things that I want to add to him before we kind of call it a wraps with certain things. I'll add some ropes and stuff onto the saddle a bit, but it might be easier to add those once posed because we'll have them like flying into the wind or something kind of fun. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what we can do there. But yeah.
I love how this is simple. That's my favorite part of this whole thing. That you're like, I just like to do simple stuff. Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, keep it simple,
People go on Blender and like, I'm gonna do a simple tutorial for you. I'm gonna do a donut. Ashley hops on here and goes, I'm gonna do a simple make a door on top of a corgi. Yeah, that's really, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, of course, as Ashley alluded to already, yes, we do utilize the chat in order to make some amazing stuff. I believe in the first week, the original thought, the jumping off point was like a minotaur, a centaur that had a corgi bottom half. We then got into a discussion with chat, that's all y'all in here, talking about, oh man, I really like smalls riding on smalls that aren't normally smalls, right? Then Ashley was like, aha, and then the light bulb came above her head and was like, what do we do this? And then it just kind of, hit the races from there. And the first episode, in the first episode, there were 3 different concepts, chose one, and then she made another 3 different concepts. And so what you don't see is those other 6, but you can go onto YouTube. You can watch them right now on the Gnomon YouTube channel and catch up. Well, don't watch it now. Watch this one and then come back. It'll be like a Tarantino film.
Or a Christopher Nolan film where you're playing with all the time traveling warping things. So
that's right. So when next time you think of Archetype, think Memento, and it's basically the same thing. Ashley's always writing on her arms of new things that she needs to sculpt and shortcuts that she's
constantly just making notes,
getting them tattooed.
Yeah.
So
that's one way to not forget what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Not allowed in any bathhouses in Japan. So that's how tattooed Ashley is. But I do have a list of some working stuff. So while Ashley is sculpting and talking us through certain points, you in the chat, we can also talk. We can hang out with Ashley as well. We were still talking about mount names. We're talking about names for the actual warrior themselves. Any other ideas that maybe you might have, or different thoughts on the actual sculpt, or questions, put them in the chat. Or just, if you want to talk about whatever we're talking about. Speaking of chat, we got Jace from Jamaica. Good to see you. We got Okaisedo. I'm pretty sure that's pronounced right, because I think we did it.
I think we've nailed that a couple times.
I think we've established it. Yeah, pure cuteness, because so far it looks like a normal dog with a little rider, which is kind of
that actually is really fun. I think actually that brings up like a really good point, is that the scale in reference to like maybe your scene or something later on tells a whole nother story. So if I put this guy in a battle scene where it looks like, the ground is about the same size, or the tree is what you normally see, but the dog is a lot bigger, then you're like, oh wow, that's like, that's a really big corgi. But if you put him into like a living room, the dog's a normal size, you're like, oh, what is this like weird like dwarf tiny world of dogs and stuff, So I do love that idea of like scale, like just playing with scale alone, even though it's the same characters, tells a whole different story, right? So I think those types of relationships are always really fun to play with. And if you ever feel like stuck, with your concept or something, that's a great way to kind of like find a new spark in something that maybe feels kind of mundane or like kind of boring, and kind of bring it back to life by putting something kind of weird or creative into it. I think that's always a really great way to add some interest into your scene. If I had time, I would totally try both concepts and methods and see which one feels more fun, So
yeah. Speaking of fun, is that a bone clasp or like
yes?
ring?
It's kind of hard to tell once the belt's around it, but yeah, I wanted to sculpt. So I modeled a couple things that look like bones that I can place kind of around the characters. So I thought it'd be fun. For example, he's got his little cuffs, so we can insert some little doggy bones onto him.
Insert,
instead of studs. So I thought that would be fun. We can insert them this way, or what we can do is, the best way to do it is through nanomesh. So I'll probably do it through nanomesh.
Oh, you mean inserting the bones? You'll be doing it through nanomesh?
Yeah. So it's a cool thing, and you can do them to on double. And what you can do is polygroup by checker, which I'm really sad they actually got rid of this in 2023, so please bring it back. I don't know where this checker went, but I liked it a lot, because what you can do is go boop, and you get checkers. It's a lot easier to select polygroups that way. So I can select my bone here and create a nano mesh brush here, which basically just creates like an instance of the brush. So now what I can do is go in here and I can drag it out.
Uh-huh.
Say
But if
all
you
the
were to
ones
do
with
it in the
ink on it.
checker, would it have put it in like, would it have started it in like a small square?
If I didn't do the checkered, so it would have done every single one. So it'll do all the
Oh.
faces. So I try to do every other one, so that way they're just a little more evened out, and then I can just spin these to get the right orientation on them. If
Nice.
some are being kind of funky. But yeah, it's a really easy way to add like multiples of things. So I'm also going to do it to his armor as well.
Okay.
It always
Well-
works weirdly on the. Actually, I don't mind the up and down one. Now that I
Yeah.
see that, I kind of like that. That might fit better.
I mean, if it doesn't look right today, you can always change it to marrow. Get it? All right.
Hey,
There you go.
you're so clever.
There you go.
Yep,
Enjoy
I
that.
like
Enjoy
it.
that.
I like
everyone.
it. Yeah, I'm absorbing that one into my soul.
Oh
that
my
one.
goodness.
That's
okay.
that's what this show's about. Right?
Paladin. What else do
Little
we got?
bones. There we go.
Shinupami, totally possum Paladin.
Totally
on
possum.
my working list here. Oh, JD Smith, Digi Artist. Damn, this is turning out great, they said. And
Well, thank you.
IMMs. IMMs? Does that mean anything to you? Oh, cute. Ims.
Cute. Insert mesh brushes. That's what they're called.
Oh.
The IMMs, the things that I'm drawing out because I'm drawing out the bone in the bone class, they're called
see.
insert meshes. So that's what.
I like how much I get. All right, I'm back.
Go away. Need you.
Yeah, no, this computer randomly activates Siri sometimes. Thinks I'm talking to it. I also have that issue with my PlayStation when I'm playing, which is really annoying when you play a game that has like call outs, and then all of a sudden
my headphones do that where if I don't turn off my phone and I start talking, it does that speak to chat thing where it thinks that a person's in the room, so it'll turn off my headphones to like listen to myself talk because I'm not talking to anybody, and yeah, it's really annoying. So I always have to go make sure I turn that off before.
See, JD Smith said, "This is why I won't date a woman named PlayStation." I unfortunately married that woman, so you know that's the issue I run into all the time. I say, "Hey, PlayStation," and then my PlayStation's like, "What?"
Right.
Oh, I did want to mention something to you, and I'm not sure. I may or may not be back next week. You know, we'll deal with that as it goes. But Ashley will still be here, so you know, obviously, still tune in and come and hang out. It's gonna be great.
It means you have to come in for sure next week because I need people to talk to. Very important.
We'll just
it's now chat's
do the
main
stream
mission to come in and say hi to me because I don't want to talk to myself.
Yeah, it's super important, or else we'll have to move the whole stream to Omegle, and we don't want to do that to Ashley. I'm easing myself into it right now. I'm catching up on this manga called Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm about 20 issues away, and then I'm doing it. It's preloaded. It's ready to go. I'm gonna start reading One Piece.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
I'm finishing
for
up.
you.
I'm catching up on my Jujutsu right now.
And you're gonna leave
then
me? How
I'm
dare you? You're gonna start reading it. You're gonna have to just message me about stuff.
Well, in order for me to finish it, I have to leave. In order for me to complete it, I can't.
Yeah, it's gonna be too busy. It's true.
Yeah,
it takes all your time.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if they call them chapters. So Jujutsu Kaisen right now is like 230 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
One Piece I looked is 1,068 chapters.
Yep, it's a lot. It's a lot of chapters.
So, yeah,
but it's
good. It's a good amount.
It's so good.
But I think I can do it. Earth, welcome back, Earth. Welcome back. In fact, welcome back everyone that's in the chat right now. You know, my Jesus, O Caicedo, JD Smith, great to see you. It's great to see you all. By the way, isn't this stream on later than normal? I have Twitch on all day, so I can't recall schedules and the such. The time actually got changed.
Time to get changed.
Yes, it is later than normal. Went from Tuesdays at 4 to 6 to Wednesdays today, 7 to 9.
We are sorry for changing times all the time on you guys, but
yeah. Ashley's sorry. I'm more like, it's good. Late night hangs is fun. I appreciate it.
As long as it works for everybody more so, hopefully we can get more friends into chats, because maybe people are, off of work and, ready to come home and work on their personal projects, and they need a friend to feel inspired by, and I'm that friend, so.
I mean, how could you not? Look at our Yobdug. That's our working name so far. So question, do you also read One Punch Man? Have you read any One Punch Man or watched the show at all, Ashley?
I watched the show. I think I've only watched to like season 2 or 3. I stopped watching after a while because I think it gets to the point where I'm like, I don't know what else he's gonna really do besides just one punch people, So yeah, I'm not super caught up on a lot of it, but I do like it. I think it's cool. I think the first 2 seasons are good.
I think the animation's really fun. I think it's kind of more of a comedy than than anything. I will say I do like Mob Psycho 100 a little bit more.
I need to try that one too. So much to watch.
Yeah.
I watched Summer Wars last night.
Summer Wars.
Yeah, that one's really cool. I like that one a lot. I can't really say what it's about. It's just like go watch it and you'll see, because it's kind of it's just different than what you would think it'd be about once you watch it. So
yeah. Oh, see, look, Okaisedo said I can leave without problem, and I'll enjoy the most recent chapters of Jiu-Jitsu. I'm almost caught up right now. I'm pretty darn close. I will say I'm on chapter 220, and they're at 230. So I got 10 left before I start One Piece.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So maybe the takeaway here is I'll start One Piece. You start Jujutsu Kaisen.
That works. I still got to get through One Piece, but yes. I also still have to get through One Piece.
We'll work on it.
Getting there. By the way, if anybody says anything about One Piece in the chat, do not read it to me. I can't be spoiled. No spoilers.
Got it. No spoilers.
Be good. I'm not spoiling people.
I mean, I would hope that all the people, all y'all wouldn't even spoil it for me, because I haven't even started it yet. I mean, I think I've watched like 30 episodes of the anime, but that's nothing.
Yeah.
Got
a ways to go, my friend.
Okay, so walk us through this decoration. You said you wanted to do a little bit of decorating.
Yep.
Now we saw the I guess you would call them the clasps, the bone clasps, and then the little bone charms for the bands. But everything else looks kind of freeform. Where's your how are you building out a lot of this decoration? Are you just constantly using the reference? Or you're like, oh, does this look cool? I want to see if this works.
Yeah, I'll be constantly using reference. So one thing, in the reference that I have is I think, for example, this is too detailed, but you can always take inspo from it. So I like the little gold pieces on the belt are kind of cool. So I might try to do something like that. And then also you can see that there's these little beads that go along here. This is way more detail than I would want because we're doing something more simplified than this. But we can still add these elements. So I added this little fold. And we can still add maybe a little bone piece there too. But I'm going to add some kind of studding and stuff to it. But I'm not going to go crazy, right? So the goal is not to go crazy, but we'll see. So yeah, I might add some to that belt piece, for example, because that was the one that I just talked about. It was we can take our little bone pieces and drag these out.
Little bones. That's one darn cute belt.
Right? So yeah, I can just kind of start detailing things like that.
It really is easy to get lost in just watching you. So.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
I get lost too, which is good and it's fun. Yeah, now that we have that, we can select those little guys.
So then another question. Yeah. There are a lot of pieces here, right?
Yes.
If you were going to design this for like real time, so like if it was going to be in a video game, are there a lot of things that you would be doing differently, or not too many things that you would be doing differently?
There's not a lot. There's some things when it comes to the high res, I try not to limit myself creatively because I have to start thinking technically. I hope that makes sense. In the sense that I don't want to get super bogged down at this stage with like, oh, I gotta stitch this and this together so that way when I bake it, it does this thing. Because that just kind of distracts from the concept. I try to think of certain things where I'm like, okay, I don't want to repeat, something. So for example, for these like little bones, if they were separate pieces of geometry that are going onto the belt, then what I would do is model one, I would UV it because I need to bake it. But then I would just bake the one and I would place the one that's UV'd all around. So that way I'm not like having to, because then you have to place the bones individually all over again.
Right.
So there's certain things where I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be reusing this asset a lot, then I'll try to like make the final asset first before I start placing it, because it'll make the process go faster. So there's certain things like that to think about. But overall, like I said, I mean, if we look at my model right now, like everything's modeled pretty low res. And then there's certain things like this might merge into one. Right now, this is like 6 different pieces. I might have modeled this differently, and we would have tried to maybe model it all as one piece. If I was, doing games, because it's just easier for stuff like that. But it really just depends on like the deadline and timeline. But most of my sculpting process at this stage will usually stay the same. I'm very dark. I'm gonna turn on the light.
Very dark.
I just saw that. I was like, oh, people can't even see me right now. But yeah, so it really does just depend.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was curious about that because I was looking at certain things like the rope, like where it's tied, around the gauntlets, I guess you would say. And I would just be like, man, I feel like rigging that would be just a pain in the butt, right? Because
well, so it depends on where it is. So your forearm technically moves as all one like hard surface piece. So as long as it doesn't warp with that, then you're good. But rope can be dynamic, so it might wiggle a bit, which is always annoying to rig. So it depends on how complicated you want to go with it.
Right.
That'll kind of determine how crazy you can get with your rig. For something more simple, maybe that's not something you need to worry about, but
yeah,
it really just all depends.
It just depends. I saw someone make a handrail sculpt today. And they said, my sculpt is Pixar quality. And they showed a frame from The Incredibles. And they were like, it's just that Pixar from 2004. That was really funny.
Nice.
So it's a reminder.
I like that. Well, my favorite one that I've always seen of that is they show the model of Sid's dog from the original Toy Story. And they were like, this animal costs like, it's something ridiculous, like $500,000 to render. And it's like the ugliest thing nowadays because our technology's gotten so much better. But back then it's it's really funny to always look back on that stuff. So I love seeing stuff like that.
Yeah, 110 supercomputers and $30 million.
Yeah.
And he's looking quite intently at the screen, so that's pretty funny.
Right. Yeah, I always love that. I thought it was really funny. Oh, there you are. I was like, why are you being weird? And then I figured it out.
So I did have another weird question for you. I'm
Yeah.
coming in loaded with weird questions today.
Let's do it.
So our Paladin is riding a mount, which is super cool. And I was thinking, as I was playing Final Fantasy XIV the other day and riding on my own mount, man, it would be really great to have a corgi as a mount. And then, you know, I'm sure you've run into this, you know, like as you're playing a game, or if you like look up something about the game that you're playing, YouTube understands the algorithm, right? And they're like, oh, you like MMOs. We're going to feed you commercials for that. And so I guess World of Warcraft is like crossing with Honda or something. And it's like they're doing like all kinds of jokes. And I was curious on if you think if mounts are ever going to come into, like if big companies are ever going to make mounts for big games, like if you'll be able to get like a Honda Civic in World of Warcraft. Do you think that'll ever happen?
That's actually pretty interesting. I feel like it will, you know. I think there's a lot of things that cater to just kind of that type of advertising, you know. But the biggest thing is like, you know, what kind of audience is that really bringing in or appealing to? Because there's not many people that would probably care for it. So it is kind of interesting because, I mean, me personally, if I was like, if they're like, oh, buy the game now and you can get this, you know, free Honda Civic mount or whatever, I'd be like,
sounds so silly.
Like, I don't care about that, right? So, it is pretty funny when you think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like just rolling around in an Escalade in Diablo, you know, like it's like something crazy like that.
That actually would be pretty weird.
So weird.
But I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, if that's something that they tried to do in the future, you know, like I really wouldn't be that shocked.
Yeah, maybe it would be something like if you bought the car, you got the mount, you know?
Right.
All right, so what are you working on here?
I'm trying to spin this stupid face to. It's not spinning. It makes me sad. I was just trying to add the little beads, but it's not being very nice to me. I was trying to be clever. I thought I was being clever by doing it a certain way, and ZBrush is telling me not so clever. So I might just try a different method. Maybe
you're not sure why the method you're trying isn't working?
Yeah, I'm not sure why it won't spin. It's very weird.
Just refuses.
It just is like, nope, you're not allowed. Because I'm trying to line these things up so that way they go in a nice line, but they're like, you're not allowed.
They heard that term spin to win, and they were like,
so rude.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it'll spin, but see how one will align, but these don't?
Right.
So you just to be the other way. Maybe that's why. I'm stupid. I figured it out. See, I'll get it eventually.
Dun-dun-dun.
Eventually, I'll get it.
You just troubleshooted the whole thing.
Right.
So what was the problem and what was the fix?
So I accidentally had an alignment on, and if you have an alignment on your nanomesh, you can't spin edges, which is annoying because that means that you have to go in here and spin these individually. So that is annoying. But it's okay. We're figuring it out. And also just making sure that all these are fairly even. Spacing is good too.
The space between the two or the space between the pairs?
The space between the faces, not just the two. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I'm trying to bring them on the inside, so when you look at it as a whole, see they're going to sit on the inside of this little pauldron. There's too many on the...
Too many.
Too many of them.
There's too many. It looks like you're setting up our boy for some serious mocap.
Yeah, it does actually look like that. That's
Little
funny.
walls all around. All right. So, okay, we talked about mounts being in MMOs and how this corgi would be a super awesome mount. Is there anything that you feel like, man, I haven't gotten a chance to design yet, but I'd really like to work on? Like a franchise that would be a big hit for you, or a thing, you know, like designing a mount for an MMO or something, you know?
Right. I'm trying to think. That's always a really tough one about like, you know, what do I want to be working on? I love stylized stuff, and actually for my career, I really haven't been able to work on stylized stuff professionally. So to be able to do that, I think one day would be really cool. Just because I've never really gotten the opportunity to. So I think that would be awesome. And I love designing stuff. My normal job is usually just the 3D artist side. I don't get the concept stuff that often.
Okay.
So I think concepting stuff would also be super cool. And then seeing that design like be, you know, in a game or whatever it may be, I think would be super rewarding to be like, hey, that's like my thing, you know?
That's me.
And see how like people enjoy it and stuff like that. I think would be super fun.
But as far as franchise concerned, you don't really have that intensive an attachment. It could be like anything as long as you kind of go through.
It really could be. I mean, I love fantasy stuff. I've worked on a lot of sci-fi things, so maybe switching up for like a fantasy thing. That's why I like, you know, like D&D and things like that. Because that hits more of my vibe most of the time. So yeah, I think that would be really cool to be able to do something like that.
So you like a are you a fan of Lord of the Rings?
I love Lord of the Rings. This is awesome.
Oh, that got serious.
I'm not one of those like, oh, I've read the Silmarillion and I know every single little trivia thing there is to know about it. I think I just love the initial, you know, the story. I grew up on reading The Hobbit. Like my dad used to read me The Hobbit at night. So that's like a, you know, core memory of mine. Awesome. And yeah, I've just always loved like what that movie is, and especially like, I mean, I love the books, but like what the films did for the film industry was kind of groundbreaking. I still think to this day it's like the greatest trilogy to hit the cinema. You know, I don't think there's any trilogy that is like beat it. I can't think of one. Even prequels. Think of a movie that has a 1 and a 2 that has been as good. Like Two Towers is amazing. You know, Helm's Deep. You can't beat Helm's Deep. And Return of the King, where he's like, for Frodo. Like, you can't beat that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ashley Stegon's TED Talk about Lord of the Rings and why it's amazing.
Yeah, right. The pacing of those films, like, even though they're extended, I always watch the extended editions. Like, you can't beat them, man. They're so good. Can't be. They don't feel like they're 4 hours long when you watch them, you know. And like that's pretty impressive. Like if you think about watching anything else for, you know,
4 hours.
4 hours, and like most movies, you're like, man, I can feel the 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
But not with Lord of the Rings.
I mean, I didn't feel that way with the Batman. I thought that was really impressive. Like after I was done with that movie, I was like, well, that didn't feel very long at all.
Is that the Robert Pattinson one?
It is.
See, I haven't watched that one yet.
Ooh. It is. All right, here we go. Hot take. It is the best Batman of all time. In my opinion.
That is a hot take because I don't know how you can beat Dark Knight Rises.
Aha. Let's see. So here's the other side of that. I don't think that The Dark Knight Rises is a Batman film. I would argue
I had a feeling. I don't know why. I had a feeling you were actually going to say that because I know that is a take on some people. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think.
Yeah, I honestly believe that it is a Joker versus Bruce Wayne film more so than it is a Joker versus Batman film. Because if you think about the decision, spoiler alert if you haven't seen The Dark Knight Rises, but if you think about the decision that he has to make between Harvey and, you know, essentially like his girlfriend, both of those decisions are pretty much a Bruce decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of those is a Batman decision, because the Batman move is to go after the Joker. Now, I guess you can make the argument that the Joker is trying to prove that Bruce isn't Bruce, right? He is Batman, so he's just like the Joker. That's their whole dichotomy, right?
Right.
But again, that is still something that the Joker manipulated, and we're just watching the Batman dance in the Joker's movie, which is why I think it's an exceptional film. I love that film, but I do argue that it is a Bruce Wayne versus Joker movie. Thank you everyone for attending my TED Talk, and I hope you enjoyed.
I'll be here all week, guys.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's a pretty interesting point. I feel like I've always just felt like Batman isn't really anything without Bruce Wayne, obviously, because he's the one under the mask. So like a movie that's just strictly like Batman doing Batman things, I think is inherently like it's very comic booky if you go that route. Whereas like I think when Bruce Wayne is very much involved in who Batman is as a character, if that makes sense to what I'm saying, then like I think you get a more interesting Batman because you get character flaws. You don't just get like the superhero. I think that was always the problem I had with Ben Affleck Batmans, you know, because you're like, that's just Batman, and he's not really like, there's no person underneath that mask. He's just like a weirdo. So that to me was like never interesting. So I do agree that like I think what makes that movie good is the fact that it's not a comic book Batman film. It is a more of a Bruce Wayne, which again Christian Bale just plays really good Bruce Wayne. So
he's a good actor.
He might not have like the exact face for Batman, you know, like he's pretty. I mean, he worked out pretty well, I guess. But he's always been like a little thinner. I think Ben Affleck's like thick Frank Miller vibe was very cool, but that character had like no personality to me. So I always like struggled to get behind him as a character.
Yeah, I can't picture Ben Affleck any other way other than that meme where he's smoking a cigarette outside and taking a deep breath. That's like the only thing that I picture when I see Ben Affleck. So, you know. Yeah. Sorry, Ben. Didn't mean to do that to you.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah. If anyone else has any thoughts on Batman movies or these amazing beads that are getting constructed on these gauntlets, you figured it out and you made it all the way through.
I figured it out. I still don't really like it yet, but I think I just need to be bigger. Because again, like, he's such a big, chunky character that doing small details doesn't make sense. So I think they just need to be chunkier and kind of they'll work themselves out.
Yeah. Oh, see, Jesus says, but the Nolan Trilogy is about the evolution of the Bruce character, not only as Batman, but as a human being. I agree. I totally
agree. I think that's what makes them really good films, is because it's like it's always been more about Bruce than it has been about like Batman. Which is why like you can say Christian Bale is a really good Bruce Wayne. I don't know if he's technically like, I don't know, you can argue that he's not the best Batman, but to me, the Batman that I like is a good Bruce Wayne. So like they kind of come hand in hand, but it all depends on your flavor of what you want out of a comic book movie, right? Because some people just want, you know, beat 'em up type stuff, but to me that's the worst part. Like I like the first half of Man of Steel because it's a Clark Kent film and not a Superman film. Yeah. Right? So it's just all about what you like.
It is all about what you like. That's why we're here. And that's why Ashley is sculpting something that she likes. But it was, you know, from the help of all y'all in the chat. Yeah. Once again, you're watching.
Yeah, we're all friends here.
Yeah, we're all friends here.
Even if we have our movie differences, it's all good. That's the fun part. That's actually what I love about film is people get so heated about film, but that passion is what I love about film, because you really see that passion like anywhere else, really. So I think it's like super cool. because I love how interpretive it can be.
I definitely have asked my friends some pretty divisive questions before that have gotten really heated. So, and not generally movies. My only thing with movies is I love movies, but I am admittedly pretty simple. So I love, like, Batman's different because I grew up with Batman. It was like the first comic that I read. I'm a huge Batman fan. So I have a lot of invested in that character. Whereas like movies in general, you know, a lot of times I have a lot of friends that really love movies and they're like, "Oh, have you seen this movie?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." And they'll be like, "Isn't it like a cinematic masterpiece? And it's, you know, this and the angles and the this and that." And I'm like, I enjoyed it. I'm so sorry that I can't have this conversation. I can tell that you really like it, you know?
Right, right.
But it was just like fun for me. Like you know, the enjoyment that I get out of like It Man is very similar to the enjoyment that I get out of like Where's My Car, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing too, is like I try to appreciate films for what they are trying to be, because like if you compare everything to, you know, 2001 Space Odyssey or to Lord of the Rings, you know, or like for a show like, I think Arcane is a super great show, but if you can't compare, you know, like what James Gunn did with Suicide Squad, like that's a very different, I'm going to judge that very differently than the way I judge something like Blade Runner. Right? Yeah. Because I know what James Gunn is trying to make that film, whereas, like, I know what Blade Runner is trying to be. So that's why I'll be much more picky if I think like the movie industry is be like, this movie's great, and they're being like very movie snob about a movie. Then I'll pick it apart because I'm like, no, this movie's garbage because of these reasons. Because that's what you're asking me to do if you're like putting it on a certain pedestal. So yeah, like I'm always, it's very weird, but I'll try my best to like, I am all about story. If you have like a really bad story, regardless of what you're trying to do with your film, then I can't watch you. But
can't watch you. Get away from me.
It all really keep that away. It all just really depends. Well, because then to me, I'm just like, oh, I'm just kind of bored, right? I don't care how pretty you look, you know, at that point. It's just boring. Yeah.
I really like the bone hooks. I mean, what do we call those? Rings?
Clasp, yeah. Clasp, ring, something like that.
Jesus is being very supportive of the nice, healthy conversation with different POVs, which is point of view. See, I know this acronym this time. I'm not confused.
I didn't mean to make you confused. It'll be okay.
It's looking so good. I know.
I'm gonna. What time is it? Okay, I've got some more time. I'm just, you know, it's all about them deets.
Yep, that's what the cool kids say.
That's what the cool kids say.
That is also professional lingo.
Yeah, deets.
Going to work, they go, Ashley, need more deets.
Right.
So then, you said that you watched Arcane. You were a fan of Arcane.
I am a fan of Arcane. I do like it.
Nice. Now, do you dabble in League of Legends at all? In any of that space?
Yeah, I don't play it a lot. I played it because I started playing it because of League of Legends, which is really common for, I guess League of Legends has been doing really well. I mean, it always does really well, but it's been doing even better because a lot of people who watch the show finally decide, like, you know what, I'll give this game a try. Yeah. I always felt like I was just going to be so behind on learning it, but thankfully I had a pretty good teacher to help me. So I did all right, but I only know how to play two characters. I play Mordekaiser and I play Warwick.
Yeah. That's all you need.
And I just jungle. That's all I do. I just jungle away. So
there you go. That's it.
I'm not great at it, but I have a lot of fun. Like, I like playing with my friends, and, you know, it's a good time. I love the character designs. If I could go work for Riot, I'd go work for Riot.
That'd be super, super duper fun. I am also a fan of League. I play a little bit. I know the Ninja mod also plays a little bit as well. I play Teamfight Tactics. The characters that I play are, I like, in any game that I play, I like fast, nimble characters that poke, right? So they do like a little bit of damage over like a long span of time. And then eventually, when you're weak enough, they do one nice Nova, boom, and then it's all over. So I play as Akali, I play as Evelyn, and then I play as this other character, Riven, I think her name is. She's got a giant sword. I also like giant swords.
I mean,
Those are the
can't
things
go
that I
wrong
like.
with giant sword, man.
Really can't go wrong. I mean, giant swords are just,
It's where
they're
it's
just
at,
so
man.
good.
It's where it's
It
at.
is where it's at. Okay, so we got Okaisedo here. Yes, if the story is not good, the movie for me is not worth it. It doesn't matter if it has the best visual effects, actors, or whatever.
Yep. Nope, I totally
I
agree.
do.
It's just really hard to get behind, anything when you have no purpose for it, I think that's always the hardest part for me.
And then Jesus said, by the way, Ashley, love how you structured your scene to get that IMM Geo done in advance to dressing the character.
I try to avoid all the boring steps for you guys. I'm like, okay, I'll make a couple things that like aren't super fun to watch make, but then really fun to like watch put into the character. I think he's looking pretty done. And remember, I'm not sculpting super into the clothes yet because we're gonna be posing him. So
yeah. All right, with 9 minutes to spare, looking good.
Sweet. I just want to make a few more adjustments to the Doge.
The Doge. Yeah, after we're done with this stream, we're gonna flatten the entire sculpt into a coin, and then we're gonna put that up on crypto.com. So make sure that you're up to date with that.
Right.
It would be the Paladin coin is what we're gonna call it.
Oh, he needs his weapons. I got a weapon.
Have you tried the Geo Brush by Poblander?
I have.
Oh, somebody did say it's time to save.
Oh,
Don't forget to save.
What's I say though? You the man. You the man. He always reminds me to save. That guy deserves some points.
We should. We'll start having a point system in the chat. Maybe see your points right next to you. I don't know.
Something.
We'll figure that
yeah,
out.
You guys get some XP.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
And it's just bragging rights at this point. We'll get like Ashley coins or something like, for my chat.
That's perfect. Ashley coins.
They'll be in the shape of a Stegosaurus. They'll have a really cute little Stegosaurus.
Nice.
Be great. I forgot what I was gonna do.
Okay. So have you tried the Geo Brush by Poblander?
I have not tried the Geo Brush. What is it? I don't even know what that is. It sounds cool.
Okay, Earth.
Let
us know.
Let us know in the chat what that is. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, Geo Brush.
I really forgot what I was gonna. I was gonna add some. Oh, it was weapons. Sorry. I was like, I was on a roll for doing something and I totally forgot. Right. I think I know how to make this. How do I want to make this weapons?
It says soft form brush. I guess it's just a brush. Free Geo Brush sculpting soft ZBrush. Ooh.
Oh, is that the Geo? Not Geo as in GEO, but Geo as in GIO?
Yeah.
Oh, that's by. Isn't that by Geo Napkill? That's like where the brush originates, is by an artist named Geo. Napkill, I think is his last name. Super good artist. No, I haven't bought that brush, but I know exactly what brush you're talking about because I know that artist. And that artist is badass. So.
That's it. You got it right. For 400, Ashley passed the knowing ZBrush brushes test. So
Thank you.
If you're coming in here and you're like, I'm here to quiz Ashley just to make sure that she is.
You really know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sculpt isn't enough for me.
I don't believe her.
Here it is. Not saying that that's the way that it is, Earth. We know. We've seen you here before. We're glad that you're here. And thank you for the oxygen that you provide for us. And
It's good.
sorry about the ozone.
Sorry.
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 So do we know what those kind of weapons are called? Because they're basically like
I
circular
don't.
blades,
They're like the
right?
circle blades. If you could look it up for me, that'd be great.
I'm working.
I'm trying to.
Blades.
I'm gonna try to figure out how to.
Make it.
I'm gonna make it happen.
Ooh.
Well, I want to keep the flow, but I found a reference that I really like where it actually goes like in and out.
Yeah. Looks like they're called chakrams. Chakrams. There are different versions of them. There's some that have a handle in the middle, and then some that have a handle at the end. Some that split into two. And they're super cool looking.
They're really cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out how.
showing Xena Warrior Princess, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh no, no way.
Hmm.
There is a, of course there is. There's a monster that you can swallow in Kirby, and you get chakrams.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's looking cute with those tiny little chakrams.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Lighting it up. You know, it's interesting because as far as chakram users go, it doesn't seem like there are many chakram users.
I can't think of any in like, I don't know, characters that I've seen before.
So then how are you sculpting this chakram right now? Because I saw you make a circle and then you're kind of like flattening it out.
I'm doing some weird like low poly modeling. So this is the reference that I have. I like these like curled handles.
Mm-hmm.
So this might not be the best way to model it, but I think it's the fastest. So kind of just going speed over, smoothness here.
Yeah.
And then I can always make them bigger and kind of push them out a bit more. And this will be
yangy almost.
This will be the handle. So half of this is the handle and half of this is the sword. So I can take.
Oh, our ninja mod just let us know that the brush is free.
Ooh.
There it is. I mean, so after the stream, boom, there it is. Your brushes. So thank you, Earth, for informing us, and then thank you, Ninja Mod, for hooking us up. Man, there's a lot of information about chakrams. A lot of people say it's a throwing weapon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would love for there to be like a Mythbusters to see exactly how much damage something like that would do,
That sounds fun.
I feel like when you hold it, it would be, now it might be the dwarf, because that's what I'm thinking, right? This amazing dwarf that you're designing. I'm picturing that dude holding them, right, with his very burly hands, and then just like, whoa. Have you ever seen that show Peaky Blinders?
No, I have not watched that one.
Do you mind a tiny little? It's
No,
not a big.
I don't
spoiler.
mind it. I won't watch it. So it's fine.
Spoiler alert, everyone. The reason why they call them Peaky Blinders is because they wear those hats, the cool like English flat caps, whatever they're called. And within the brim and then the rest of the hat, put laser blades. And so when they get into fights, they take their hats off and then they swipe at people's eyes.
What? That's actually awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
That's super awesome. That's terrifying. That was not what I expected.
Yeah. They did that in like the second episode, and I was like, whoa! Like my brain like exploded.
And my brain's like, whoa, that sounds so cool.
Yeah, and they just hide them there in that little tuck. It's a great show if you ever get a chance to watch it. But that's what I imagine this dude's kind of coming in with, which is tough because he is, so cute and wondrous, but at the same time,
So deadly.
gotta go to war sometime. Okay, I get it. Got a little bone shape there too.
Yeah.
With bones.
Totally intentional. Totally intentional.
Bone blade. Looks
I'm
like
also
it.
trying to remember that his big fat hands have to hold it, so I think I'm trying to ease this curve a little bit, but it should be fine.
I think it's gonna end up hurting his feelings if he hears you.
Oh, sorry. We'll whisper it in the chat. His blocky hands. Sorry, big boned hands.
Yeah, blocky hands. 1 second. What? Oh, what? Okay.
Imagine you had coffee breaks, so don't worry. A little bit left for the day.
I keep having to remember that as it's hotter outside, I need to drink more water. So here's a PSA for everyone watching. If you haven't, drink more water.
Drink more water. Drink more water.
As Okaisedo would say, save. But in this case, save yourself by drinking water. Okay, so we're on the tail end of it, folks. I'm actually very excited because
well, if you're not going to be here, we definitely have to cover it today because you were to help here.
We were here to help. I mean, when we started this whole journey, we had a really fun time kind of discussing just what even we were going to do. Like that was the really exciting part of it, was talking with all y'all in chat on what exactly was going to be made. And then as you obviously have kind of participated in today, you realize that we kind of talk and we get into different rants. And through those rants, it's really fun because sometimes that ends up influencing the character, which is really cool. And just kind of being here for that whole process has been really fun. So I appreciate you having me again. I may or may not come back, we'll see, but hopefully all y'all watching will come back because again, like Ashley said, he needs the company.
I do.
Who else is going to stress her about different movies and lecture her on Batman,
Exactly.
It's all your responsibility now. I'm also curious, chat, if you have a moment. I want to know what your favorite weapon is. So my favorite weapon, I like giant swords. I think they're super cool. Anytime I see a giant sword, if it's a video game, I'm very likely to play it. And if it's a class in a video game, I'm very likely to play that class. I mean, in Final Fantasy 14, which is an MMO, I play Dark Knight, which is the character that has the biggest sword. That's just the way that it is. I think there's also an element of like, I'm kind of a scrawny dude. And every time I usually see people wielding giant swords in stuff, they're generally pretty scrawny, which makes me feel like whenever it comes down, whenever the zombie apocalypse happens, I'm forging a giant sword. It's gonna swing it around. It's gonna be perfect. There's gonna be no problems with it. Physics be damned.
Exactly. Well, see, then you're just, you're unleashing your inner cloud.
That is true. Regular gun is my favorite weapon, Earth says. You didn't change your name from Earth to American. Regular gun.
Just old fashioned. I'm trying to think of mine. I think I like it's 3, I think, but I think they usually carry around 2. But just like the art of like the samurai sword, I think just makes that sword so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because there's so much like rule and honor that goes into wielding that sword.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I think story-wise, like I think it has such an interesting and like rich, unique history that most other weapons kind of don't. But I love that. I also think there's a lot of Japanese weapons that are really cool because they're originated from farmers. They're originated from like farming tools, which I think is also super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about that I think is really fascinating.
So Okai Sato also says that katana is their favorite weapon as well.
Yeah, katana.
And then, yeah, I think you're right. I think normally they hold two. It's a katana and oh my gosh, a wabashi. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. I think it starts with a W. I don't think you're wrong there.
Oh no, wakizashi. Dang, I wasn't even close. But yeah, so it's like it's a longer sword for like, you know, bigger bouts, like, you know, outside war, any of that kind of stuff. And then the wakizashi is like for indoors, closer spaces.
Yeah, it's for closer range. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool. There's a book that you may have heard of called Gorin no Sho. It's written by this famous samurai by the name of Miyamoto Musashi. It's called the Book of Five Rings.
I've heard of Musashi.
He goes over his entire fighting style, and he bases them all on like different elements, so like earth style, water style, fire style, all that kind of stuff. If you ever get a chance, it's a pretty fun book to read. You know, the story goes that he like defeated like 100 swordsmen and never lost and fought in like 2 wars, and then like at the end was just like, you know what, screw this, and then just dipped and went into like the mountains and wrote this book, Gorin no Sho, and then just like stopped fighting. He was like, I'm just gonna retire on top. So his book is like super revered. Musashi
That's
has
really cool.
Well, I know Musashi is a very famous Japanese
brave fencer.
Yeah, brave fencer. Yeah, he's definitely probably the most famous swordsman in Japanese culture that I can think of. That's real. Oh yeah, Vagabond. Oh, I didn't know Vagabond was about Musashi. There you go. Read that. It's called Vagabond. Thank you, Earth. I appreciate that. Now, I'll tell you, Earth, I can't read it. All right, I'm going to be honest with you. Got 10 chapters left of Jujutsu Kaisen, and then, you know, I made a commitment to Ashley and to, I think, Okai Sato, that, you know, I'm going to get on it. Get on this One Piece grind.
All right, we're going to start posing.
Yes! It's happening!
It's happening!
It's happening!
I think what will be easiest is to probably pose the dog first. So I gotta find all the dog things. I'm hoping all the dog things are there. They are. And I gotta find. I'm gonna save this one.
Okay. So Chad, if you have any posing suggestions, if you think like, oh, you got maybe this, or have the finger up or down or pointing, or, you know, maybe busting one of these. Well, he can't do that because he only has 4 fingers. So, you know, whatever. Yo, pop it in the chat. This is the time. This is it. This is the drum roll right here. I'm very excited. In case you couldn't tell, I'm very excited.
Cool. I'm just deleting all things extra except for his weapon because I just don't want to accidentally bring things in and then have to deal with it. It's annoying. So I saved one version, then I'll save this as the pose version.
Okay. So you have the concept pose that you made, right?
I do.
Are you going to start there?
Yeah, I'll probably start there.
Okay.
I think it's such a fun pose that it's hard for me to come up with anything else more interesting for them to interact with, you know, as a way for them to engage together. So I just personally think that probably will be the best method. So yeah, I'll probably just start there. But I'll go ahead and pose the corgi first.
The pup. The pup whose name
I'll
is...
save this one is...
Sir Reginald Bottom. It's a good one. is Ein, Barker, Molly, Holly, Polly, Dolly, Folly, which was, we kind of went on a whole list there. Charlie in the same thing. And then Slashy Charlie. I'm not really sure where that one came from. Long Dog.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
Long Dog.
That one's pretty straightforward, but I like it. I always liked I like Polly or it's there's another clever one in there. I do like Yo Dude for the main.
Yo Dude.
That's my fave.
Yo Dude. I think that's the only one we got. Guys behind Yo Dude. Oh yeah, the dog. Like when the war begins, or like if it's talking to somebody, the dog will like cower behind. Use puppies as measurement. Oh yeah, they say everything is like however many puppies long. That's
like
some
that?
weird. Yeah, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm 5 puppies tall, and I saw a giant the other day. It must have been 300 puppies large. And then, this is the lore. At war with cats that are ridden by elves. And this is the ever-going battle. The battle for, I think, the sands. Because the cats want to use it as a litter box, but the dogs just want to dig all day long. Dog motifs, balls, frisbees, dog treats, dog treat gourd. All right, sticks, paw, cat winged toys. Oh, wine toys. Oh, right.
Try to break the dog up into different pieces so I can pose him a little easier.
Oh, because you'll be posing each piece individually?
Yeah. A little bit. It'll be easier to select certain parts of him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it very kind of miscap and unorganized, but that's okay. He's so low res that it should be fine, and then I'm going to split him in half. Yeah.
In half!
Oh, so I can grab the left from the right. That should be totally fine. That way I can kind of isolate his leg easier, and then I can mask stuff out that I don't want to move, but it's easier to kind of like select that than it is to try to do that every time.
Yeah.
And then
our poor pup is being dissected.
It's
Speaking of pups, you don't have any sleeping dogs behind you today.
I don't. I closed the door because my boyfriend is watching them, and they're okay. I have no sleeping puppies behind me.
No sleeping puppies today. So I'm intently watching this posing.
Yeah, so I'm just like smoothing, and I'm trying to turn his little feet up. The hardest part is making sure that I'm not deforming too much. And now the biggest issue is I Z-remeshed it to where his topology isn't great for lifting up his arms, because I didn't really give him room for like an armpit, but it's fine because we can adjust it once it's slightly posed, and I can kind of push it more if I want to.
And there's an importance in maintaining the chonk, right?
Yes, I'm trying to maintain chunky as possible.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the rules of design, in case anyone was wondering out there. It's chonk over topology.
Maximum chonkiness.
Yes. That's
over anything else. But you can see that, like, as I start adjusting certain things, I can kind of readjust the anatomy of him, and it'll start to look fine. And then once I sculpt on top of it, outside of just this normal posing mode, it should look just fine.
will, I believe.
The biggest thing is making sure that you're rotating it where his actual like joints would be. Because then you'll get like the best deformation out of your chunky character. But because he's so stylized, I can kind of get away with pushing and pulling stuff in kind of a different way.
Yeah.
And then sculpt later. So I'm really just trying to get like a very push shape, you know, with this little corgi here.
That is definitely a loaf of bread. I
Right.
think you were trying to corgi, but now it's just turning the cutest loaf of bread. It's just a loaf.
Happy loaf.
There's a person by the name of Louis Tucci that is works for ZBrush, and he has a dog named Enzo, and this dog likes to go outside and just lay down on the cement. And every time I see the dog laying down on the cement, I go, "Fresh baked bread," and I go pet the dog.
That's cute. I approve of that routine.
So does Enzo, let me tell you.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Every time Enzo sees me, that feels like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Oh, that's fantastic.
Oops.
Now, knowing where the joints are. So let's go back to that for a second.
Yeah.
You mentioned knowing where the joints are. Now, you have talked a few times about just consistently studying anatomy, right?
Yes.
But in this situation, you know, there's a couple of different factors, right? Like you were saying, it's stylized and so on and so forth. So with knowing where the joints are you kind of like, okay, on a normal dog in a normal position, this is where the joint is? Or do you like, this is normally where it is, but I'm going to skew it a little bit because it's stylized or whatever?
No, so one thing, so doing the joints is actually one thing that I will keep like fairly anatomically correct, because I think it helps with landing that feeling that this character is you know, realistic. Not realistic in the way he looks, but realistic in the way, meaning like the way he feels. Like he feels like he can move. And I think a lot of that just always goes back to making sure that your character's anatomy does feel like they can do the things that you want them to do. So most of the time I don't try to pull too much away from where the joints are. Like he's still gonna have a shoulder blade and he's still gonna have a tricep, and where his elbow is, like I think the more you stray from that sometimes, the less and less realistic your character, less believable. I won't say realistic. It's more of a believability thing than it is like about realism,
for sure.
right?
And
he
I
needs
think that
he needs his wobble.
really helps him too. He needs to wobble.
He needs to wobble. So we'll grab half of him.
Gonna build the wobble.
Too much wobble.
Oh yeah.
Well, because I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah.
Because then when I reverse this guy, it'll go this way. So it's like extra wobbly.
Oh, sorry. That front angle is really good.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. That is really good wobble.
It's like contrapposto, but in corgi contrapposto. Needs extra wobble.
Extra wobble.
And now we can kind of go in here and
low.
kind of refine our forms, so we can bring back that loaf of bread, you know? Because you can see that I kind of crinkled him a little bit, right? But we can always go back, and that's what that low res is for, is making sure that we can, you know, maintain the booty floofiness and maintain all the good shapes that we want that are lost when we kind of twist things around and stuff, and we can fix it with our knowledge of anatomy. Which is why it's also important to, you know, not just draw things in like stiff poses, but try to, oh yeah, that is some warbles. So with this type of warble, we make sure that his rib cage feels good, but then his little fat pooch is gonna, you know, kind of be on the other side, so it's gonna be kind of more back here.
I just imagine these dwarves going like, "Get ready, men," and they're like, "Ah," and then instead of charge, they go, "Saunter," and then all these little wobbling.
Oh, I know. I love it. I think it's super fun. We can always play with the, you know, lifting off a little bit. The one side of the wobbliness. Yeah. That's how you get kind of something that feels like it's in motion, you know, is we can add, can grab these guys and mask that, and then we can kind of turn those out and make sure that it feels like they're going back into space, so they're kind of like flopping around.
Yeah. It's been very fun just kind of again watching this whole process evolve. You know, for the people that don't know, and I'm sure that, you know, most of us here do, but in case you're new, you know, Ashley obviously does this pretty consistently, professionally, even, if you will. So, you know, I think being in it, maybe, you know, the mysticism gets diluted a little bit, but this process has been so fun. And it seems like, you know, it's just really, really fun to watch it go from A to Z, and then see it literally like come to life like this before our eyes is also really great, you know? Something about 3D, just chef's kiss.
There is something about 3D that I always really love to see. Like, as much as I love 2D drawing, I really do love the 3D process, because I think like all your work really pays off just because you spend so much time sculpting it, but you get, you know, a full turnaround of a character, and like I think you just get a full fleshed out idea that is super fun. And you can really just feel like the character so much more than just your 2D.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you just alluded to right now, the full turnaround, right? That alone really, it makes it feel like it's existing in real space, you know? And
oh yeah,
my brain always does that. Like that, I think that's one of the reasons why I personally like fantasy, and a lot of that is because, again, one of the great things about being an easy consumer for these things, and, you know, even being here at Gnomon, I get to be a fan, and I love being a fan. One of the reasons why being a fan is so easy for me is because immersion is also very easy for me. I'm very easily immersed. So seeing this, right, this sculpt, it does that for me, which is, you know, crazy, because, you know, I mean, we have like a loose story and names and all that stuff, but I just picture it and fantasize, and it's just so fun to have that piece of it, you know.
And I think 3D helps fantasize it easier than just 2D. As much as I love 2D, again, there's tons of cool stuff that you can do with 2D, but I love being able to utilize both abilities and both tools.
Yeah.
Because it makes it super fun.
And you do it really well.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Today's fit.
Okay, I won't get used to it.
Yeah, go ahead and put what you need to be complimented about in the chat, and I'll go ahead and send out a compliment, as long as it's, you know, reasonable. Oh, the side tongue.
Oh yeah, you gotta get that side tongue in there.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
I think that pose is good. So we'll go ahead and then T-pose that guy. And then we can always sculpt extra floofiness on top and kind of fix anything that gets weird. But yeah, and then we'll go ahead and do our Paladin.
Let's do it. Oh, so cute.
No, that's what I love about posing is it really starts to come to life.
For sure.
Especially with the color and everything.
Yeah. Okaisedo says, I'm still in amazement. I'm assuming I'm still in amazement of how Ashley can bring a concept to life in just 4 streams, a couple of hours. That was also thanks to y'all. I mean, Ashley. Okay, let's back it up. Yes, Ashley's amazing and super duper talented. It's super fun to watch and be a part of. But y'all did help. I mean, it expedited that first episode for sure. We were making some quick decisions that first episode, even that second episode going into it. There have been some hard moves, like not this weapon, that weapon. So I think I did advocate for a big sword, but you know, I gotta say those.
I think you did.
They look pretty cool. Love you guys' opinions. Also, the art is cool. Adrian Goncora comes in hot, says corgi! Exclamation point. Yes, it is a corgi. Adrian, I don't know if you've ever been here before, but welcome. Welcome to Archetype. I'm Chris, and next to me over here is Ashley Stegon, our senior character artist that is stepping in and designing this amazing thing that you see in front of us. This is a 4-week series. Every month we do 4 weeks of coming up with an idea and then bringing that idea to life. I say we, but it's really Ashley, and I'm here to talk to y'all and then tell Ashley all the amazing things that you said, like corgi. So,
like corgi.
Yes, this is our corgi Paladin, who is, well, the Paladin's not a corgi. Paladin's a dwarf. It's a dwarven Paladin that has a corgi mount.
Yes.
Yes. And is riding the mount into battle. This is the final episode, so this is the posing. And I've seen you a bunch of times on campus. Well, you know what, Adrian? I appreciate next time you see me, be like, I was the dude.
That was me. That was
me. Well, thanks, Adrian. Next time I see you on campus, I'll give you a high five or some stickers. I have stickers around here somewhere. I usually always have Gnomon stickers on me. So if you ever come to Gnomon, or if you want to take a tour at Gnomon, and you're in town, go ahead and visit us at gnomon.edu. You can send an email to info@gnomon.edu, and we'll be able to show you around campus, and it'll be a great time. Maybe you'll get some stickers too. And then maybe you'll see me like Adrian sees me sometimes. Okay, so now we're on the sculpt of Yobdug, who is our dwarf that has been named Yobdug, which is good boy backwards. But it sounds pretty cool. It sounds pretty fantastic.
It does sound fantastical. I like it. Yeah, I'm just right now I'm just breaking up everything into pieces that I can select, basically, with ease. I'm just kind of grouping certain things together. So like this stuff will move together, right? So I'm just trying to be aware of what I would move together and what I wouldn't move together, if that makes sense. So
there's going to be a lot of more movement on this dude than there was on the dog. The dog only had the saddle.
Yes.
He's got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's got way more stuff.
Way more stuff. Now, the question for you, on episode 3 or 2, you had mentioned you were thinking about getting rid of the scarf. Here we are, episode 4. Scarf still stands.
Scarf stands.
What happened?
I think I liked it, and I think it just I think the biggest thing was when you look at the silhouette. I like the asymmetry that it brings. I think without it, he just looks a little more bare, as you can see in the silhouette with like it gone with it on, right? So that kind of made me go, I think it looks better with it on. So on it stays.
What was the thing that was making you think that you wanted to get rid of it?
Well, usually I like putting like cool, like little straps and stuff to things. So it was just a way to maybe add more detail and more consistency for stuff. But I think ultimately I just didn't need it.
Yeah.
So that's where that decision kind of came into play there.
Am I making you have to explain a lot of your decisions? I'm just curious on how your brain
No,
works.
you can totally ask away. That's totally fine. That's what I'm here for.
Yes, and then of course you can always say, "Because I wanted to, Chris. Shut up."
Right.
And then I'll be like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, I'm just trying to group these in ways that make sense. So I'll group all the shoe together. Whoops, not all of them. I just did all of it. So now I've kind of got them blocked. Oh, I meant to. You're not supposed to be here. Anyway,
You're not even supposed to be here today.
Right. So I usually like to start with some sort of twist. That really helps sell the character. And the character is also, the hardest part is going to be moving his legs, because he doesn't have a lot of leg, but he is supposed to be moving forward or kind of like crouched. So I do want to kind of put a twist into him. So I'll select the top of him here, all of his top parts. Oh, there's some weird parts in here. Hold on 1 second. Those two together. There we go. I'll select the bottom because it might be easier to select the bottom. We'll see. Yeah, so I'll select something like that. You can see there's a lot of twisting that's going on here, so I'll try to make sure that kind of gets smoothed out. It doesn't have to be perfect underneath because you won't really see it because the belt's in the way, and it is kind of nice to have something kind of hard surface getting on the way. But again, I want to try to rotate this from a place that makes sense. So then I'll go ahead and start to kind of slowly rotate him. So I won't rotate a whole lot, but I'll rotate just a little bit. And then I'll flip the whole thing, and I'll rotate him slightly the other way as well to give it a bit of that contrapposto that I was talking about before.
And so then for those who aren't familiar with that term, what exactly are you talking about here?
Contrapposto is an art term that I just think means like contrasting positions. So you want something, for example, contrapposto would be if this hip is forward, that means that this shoulder is going to be back. So it's creating an opposite, which creates for a more dynamic position. So you'll hear it a lot. You'll hear the contrapposto term quite a bit when trying to create like dynamic posing and designs.
Now, is that a concept that you also bring into your 2D, or do you think that it's solely a three-dimensional kind of concept?
No, it's 100% also a 3D thing. I also forgot to open up his mouth. I'll have to do that later.
Put in that mouth.
Part of me is actually wondering. 1 second. I'm thinking ahead here, so bear with me, but
No worries. As we bear with you, chat, how are you all doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in once again to Archetype episode 4, creating a D&D character. This is the Paladin, which is very exciting. Now, this Paladin is a dwarven Paladin that has a larger corgi mount. Now, the corgi mount is this specific type of Paladin, right? They're known as Paladins, so they come from a long line of people that have mounts that are these corgis. They are at battle with another kind of, I guess, clan, and the other clan is a series of elves that are ridden by cats. Chris, how did this story come to be? Why are you saying all of this stuff? It's just a sculpt. well, the reason why all of this stuff has come to be is because over the span of 4 weeks, we've all been talking and having fun and hanging out here on stream at Archetype. It was on Tuesdays, now we're on Wednesdays. So Wednesday 7 to 9. And by hanging out here and talking, we've been able to not only participate in coming up with the concept and the design of this amazing, super fun dwarven Paladin that Ashley came up and coined the term Paladin. Don't take that; it's copywritten now. And it's been an exceptionally fun journey. So everything that I'm saying to everything that you're seeing, not only has Ashley put their fingerprint on it, but all of you have also put your fingerprint on it. So kudos to all of you. Kudos to Ashley, and I'm just glad that I got to see it all unfold. I mean,
every day you get to see
like accurate mythology to me. Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate it.
Right.
The Paladin was not supposed to be fighting a kaiju. Ahaha, yes. Okay, Okaisedo is here with some other lore that was there. Yes, we discussed kaijus. But I think the thing that was kind of fun that we were kind of working with as far as ideas are concerned was starting to play with this world just kind of as a whole, right? So I think Ashley used the term warlord for the dwarf, and then the warlord, getting into a war. Maybe the kaijus could have another spot. See, that's where the fun comes in about participating in Archetype, right? Because if we need kaijus, well, kaijus is a catch-all term, right? It's just a giant thing, I could be a kaiju if I was, 100 feet tall. Ashley could be a kaiju if they were 100 feet tall. Corgi, so on and so forth. So, there might be a kaiju stream, but you won't know unless you come and tune into the streams and check it all out. I'm the father of a corgi. That's awesome, Adrian. Can you please tell us the name of your corgi? And hopefully it's Ein. But if it's not, that's okay too. I just feel like it would be the prerequisite. Like if I got a corgi, I would have to name it Ein. I had a Bebop around here, but I don't have it today. Sad times. A lot of moving pieces. So
there's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, in your day-to-day, do you ever have to do this for work, like move these pieces like this, or you're basically just making the scope and then handing it off?
Thankfully, no, because we have to rig it, so we'll get something that's a little bit more usable, right? Because we're in a pipeline, so we need to be able to really utilize the sculpt in that way. Mm-hmm. We make a 3D asset so we continually always can, keep making something more interesting than just a sculpt. And can be usable more than just a sculpt than the sculpt is. While it's fun to make this sculpt, it's not technically like super usable. Mm-hmm. Because of the fact that, we're not really worried about like super great topology or doing any of those things. We're just trying to get like a fun scope for the stream. So
yeah.
But yeah, in reality, I would love to rig it, then you would be able to move it all the time.
Yeah. The dog's name is Loki. Wondrous name. I appreciate it. And has been on campus. What? Hopefully one day I will see this dog. My dog has also been on campus once. It was all right.
They destroyed the campus.
Destroyed a whole lab, and we had to close the lab. Not go great. And yeah, in case you're curious and you're tuning in for the first time, hey, don't forget, even when Archetype is not on, you can stay up to date with Ashley and what they're doing on their Instagram, Steak and Eggs, which is probably one of the best Instagram names. And if you're curious about what we're doing in Gnomon, you can follow us at Gnomon School. What is my dog's name? So my dog has a long name. His name is Cassian and/or Luke Star Wars Bebop Holly, because my last name is Holly. So that's his whole name, but we call him Cassian for short. And not Star Wars, it's Star War. If you've ever seen a show called Arrested Development, there's a joke in that show where someone gives someone money, tells them to go to the movies, and they say, go see a Star War. And that's where that's from.
That's cute.
Yeah. This is like, every time I see this angle of Yobduke from the back, it just looks like, you know, some dun 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 dun, some music should be playing in like a slow-mo walk, and this fool's ready to throw down.
So many parts. I can do it.
Yeah, I can do it. Gotta believe. I'm letting you focus. And I'll keep hanging out with the chat as we watch this all come to life. Again, Ashley's doing this for y'all. I mean, I guess for me too, because, you know, I really want to see this, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to play this character in a D&D campaign. I just don't know. Like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, a paladin, right? Normally when a paladin smites, boom, it makes a large, like, thunderous noise. Radiant damage, right? It's like light or whatever. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, if it's a paladin, what's the noise when it hits, right? Is it like a squeaky toy, like, you know, or is it
like,
you know, what is it? Yeah. And then what does it look like also, right? There has to be like some visual to it. Also, I mean, I understand that Yobduke's riding a corgi, but like, he's got to howl or something before he just wails into somebody, right? Like, ooh, and then boom, slams on somebody. I guess that would
I
make
like the idea that the corgi maybe makes like a really cute sound, but then it's actually Yobduke that makes like the big howling sound or something.
Yeah. I just think the constant panting of the dog is great. I would also prefer, like, if I was running this character in a D&D campaign, I personally would never want to do any like looting of the bodies. I feel like that is a chore for my dog that has great olfactory senses, and it would just be great if like Yobduke was like, fetch, and then like, you know, just looted all the bodies, and then like would bring back like weapons and gold and stuff in its mouth.
I love that idea too.
Yeah, gold fetch. That's how I imagine Yobduke talks. But the pose, it now looks like he's walking, and behind him is an explosion.
Right.
I was gonna say an explosion of cats, but then visually that didn't go so great. So yeah, just a regular explosion I think is fine.
Right. So yeah. I think
awesome.
I think that's about as good as I need for now. Because like I think the biggest thing that's gonna be part of his character is going to be his expression, and I have to sculpt his expression before it's too late.
Before it's too late. Before it's all done.
Something was skipped, but that's okay. We're going to ignore it.
Something got skipped.
Hopefully all the pieces that I want did not get skipped. So there we go. It's starting to get and be put into place, and then I'll drop him down. That was forearms got skipped. That's okay because his body, you don't actually need that part, so that's good.
We don't need it anymore. Definitely an explosion pose is solid. Oh my god, so excited! It's happening.
So what I like to do actually is it's kind of an easy thing. I'll take a screenshot.
Okay.
I can take a screenshot, and now I can hide all of my characters. So he's technically hidden. You can't tell because I took a screenshot. But now I can move this guy up to... I should be able to move him up to meet him. As long as nothing's... Oh, wait. Oh, wait, no, it's still up. Wait, how'd you become... Oh, wait. Gotta make sure that everything below or above the dog is hidden, and then if I move him up, there we go. So I'm gonna try to balance him up there on the thing. Okay. Now I can clear that, and then if I
Oh yeah.
go, and I'm gonna delete that thing that I do not need. I don't need his body.
This dog is so happy to go freaking yam.
So excited.
I love that.
Now I gotta sculpt, so I'm gonna sculpt the expression on his face real quick here. I'll probably just end up running a Dynamesh on it.
And what does that do?
It allows me to stretch out his face because I didn't make up for the topology, but it will keep some of the detail. It's not ideal, but I want his mouth to maybe be kind of twisted, and then I'm going to try to grab this part and move it back. Can't tell he's got a big old mouth yet.
Not yet. It'll come together. I have faith.
I'm going to thank you. That's a pen. Gonna make some teeth here. I'm just gonna say yes to that. And then the thing in here, this is his neck that's like being all crazy, so I can just push this back.
Nice.
And I'm gonna make sure that I guess some sort of form of mouth in here. Mask this again, extract that for a tongue. His tongue a little more pinkish.
Well, I like that pink too. Maybe it's like a rite of passage. The riders of the corgis dye their tongue or attempt to dye their tongue. Their corgis. And then that's what they beautified. There's so many deep lore things that we're devising for this. Oh yeah!
Yeah, the beard in the way obviously wasn't helping. And I'm gonna pull his eyebrows down.
It's happening. Oh yeah.
He's gonna have a bit of a wonky nose. And then we're gonna make one side of his mouth a little wider than the other.
This is enjoyable. I feel I keep getting all locked up and not talking. I hope y'all are enjoying it as much as I'm enjoying it. I'm just like watching it all happen. It just looks so cool. It's wild, and I know I say this all the time, but it's just wild how like your brain can easily see like the different positions and how this mouth when I make it do this, it's supposed to look like that, and so on and so forth. I mean I think that goes to your sort of like consistently studying anatomy and all of that. I think it comes in really handy in junctures like this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of those things that it takes a lot of practice eventually, you know, to get really, really good at it. But once you start studying all that stuff, and I mean, this is being very messy with it because I'm just trying to finish the expression in time, really. But which is funny because if I just slow down, I know I would be fine. But
you can slow down. You don't have to rush. There's no rush.
It's true. There's no rush. I do have more time than I think. I just want to make sure I get most of it in there before. And then the other thing that will help a lot is bring this mustache to match.
Oh yeah, that's good. And now we're riding into battle. Oh yeah. Cat explosion in the background. I mean, regular explosion. Gotta stop. Cat explosion.
Yeah, just trying to find the right. I gotta get the right curvature in the mouth here.
This is some solid chompers. I like how dude looks more rabid than the dog does.
Yeah, like he's more intense for sure than the dog is. Whoops.
Can you keep him away from me? Oh no, the dog doesn't bite. No, not the dog.
Yogi bites.
Yeah, he's definitely bitten people before. Left a mark. No bite inhibition, this guy. Nice. Oh yeah. All this, I'm so sorry for like ad-libbing all of these, like, it's like, yeah, that looks up. Yeah, great job.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool. No, you're good.
Like a soundboard. I'm like, oh yeah, great job.
Perfect.
Keep going. With the chakrams.
Just trying to drag the...
Great contrast. The dog looks so friendly and he looks so angry. Yeah.
He does.
Oh man. I mean, there has to be like a level of it where like the dog has to be happy because this fool's about to get a ton of treats, right? Raw meaty bones. In case you didn't know, raw meaty bones are very good for your dogs. They love them. Great for their teeth. Just if they shatter, take them away from the dog. But other than that, raw meaty bones. Big time, huge. They're huge fans of it. If you if you have a dog and you ever get a chance to buy chicken feet, oh my God, try to watch.
Chicken feet are great. Chicken feet are so good for their teeth and stuff too.
Oh my gosh, my dog, when he first had a chicken foot, he was like, "What the heck?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I just freeze him now. I just give it to him, and he just It's scary because you forget sometimes that they are domesticated wild animals, right? And like if they wanted to, you'd be in a world of hurt. But that's why you train dogs. So yeah, maybe this corgi's just really excited because he's about to get a whole slew of raw meaty bones.
Oh yeah.
Really hype about it. It would just be so funny, like dude just jumps off like whoosh. Whoosh, just slashing dudes, right? And then he moves like 100, 200 yards forward, but his dog's way back here, just like chilling, like just like nomming on a bone or whatever.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. It just seems so fun.
I hope you guys all had fun with this guy. I definitely did. Super fun. I'm also only going to pose one and get rid of the other one.
Get rid of the other one.
Yeah, it's a fun little trick because you can, if you pose one hand and it's similar to the other, just, now I can delete this one and then I'll mirror it. Whoops, not like that. And then I can reconstruct it. And I can grab this hand and just replace it and just repose it into place. When you really look at my method of madness for these streams, sometimes it's as dirty as they can be, the tricks.
Again, dirty. For all of you watching at home, Ashley tends to, degrade some of their shortcuts and very, very helpful things. This is all amazing. I understand that, probably on certain levels it is dirty, but golly, that was a quick fix and it looks great. Quick installation. Adrian says, pork ears, dude. There's no coming back after that. I'm assuming you're talking about for dogs to have. See, that would be a good kaiju. A bipedal pig or a boar. Oh my gosh. How do you defeat a charging boar? Or like just plows through mountains. Boom. That'd be very scary.
I try to rotate the foot a bit because it's more interesting if he's... Again, I'm playing with trying to push some of where he's going to be pressing down onto the saddle.
Mm-hmm.
But I want it to feel like he's, he feels like he's really lightly stepping on it right now. So I think I'm going to try to push it up a bit more. And then I'll take the saddle and I can kind of angle it. Maybe it's a little off-kiltered or something.
Yeah.
Because it's all, bouncing on a wobbling corgi.
Yep.
So
I was just about to say that, like, this, if things go well and they win this war, then this dude has a great career as like a surfer or something,
Right.
Just the balance needed. And the jams have been pretty spicy this evening. I understand, normally we have these very royalty-free jams, but they've been pretty good. I've been enjoying. I've been bobbing my head a couple of times.
They keep me focused. Keep me in it.
Unlike me, who consistently distracts you and goes, "What does this do? What does that do?
No,
What's that mean?"
I'm a big fan of questions.
You should be a teacher.
Questions. It means, who would have thought? I should be. You're right. I should be a teacher.
You should come teach at Gnomon.
I know.
In fact. Oh yeah.
I think I wish I could get him leaning over a little bit more, but I think it'll have to do. I mean, a real easy trick would be to take his head and just move his head down so then he looks like he's hunched over. That would be the fastest trick for that. First I'll save it because I need to, but then let me see if I can do it real quick because I think that'll help the pose a lot, and it's more of a cheat than anything else. But
okay, well, we're all.
I really want him to feel like he's. He's really leaning forward.
This will be our final drum roll here. Gosh, from the front, it's really fun to look at, which is so interesting because again, the concept was kind of from the side-ish, I guess.
It was from the side, yeah.
Yeah. But seeing it from the front, it really adds a lot to both characters, The 2D had a lot of that motion, a lot of that drive forward, so you definitely got a lot of that. But the dog, not that it looked sad in the other picture, but it definitely looks happier. It looks more like a dog in the 3D version. Which I guess makes sense because dogs inherently are three-dimensional, in case you didn't know.
It's true.
It is true. And you would know that if you studied anatomy as much as Ashley does.
Yeah, it's true.
Most animals, in fact,
it's true. Most animals are 3D. Who would have thought?
Absolutely. These little tweaks that you add, it really does add a lot to the gesture and to the feel of the character.
It's just about pulling it ever so slightly more. I just want to get, again, because this is a sculpt that's about the gesture, because it's so stylized that most time people won't notice if you're stretching something to that level.
Yeah.
And then and you can see where it was, and then you'll watch it pop into place, and you'll see how much better just even lowering the head will make him feel like he's leaning forward without actually leaning him forward, because there's so much geometry that like I don't want to mess with. And I pushed out his belly a bit more too, but the moment I pull his head down, which is a cheat because it kind of just breaks his neck, right? But it looks like he's looking forward.
Yeah.
So.
And also like screaming, right? It really gives off that like he's exerting energy for it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I can just bring up his cloth.
Nice.
To make it look like his neck isn't as, big, and maybe the cloth is blowing in a certain direction.
I think
I'm a big fan of adding like wind almost, where it does something like that.
And that really works out well with the scarf that you left too.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the scarf, then you wouldn't be able to add a lot of that wind stuff.
Right. Yeah, adding things that are kind of like floating is fun. Like even these pieces, you could kind of make them feel like they're floating off of him, or being a little more asymmetrical, or taking these little pieces here and just turning them in the direction that he's going. Right? We'll just add tons of motion to your piece. It's all the little things that when you're wrapping up,
to
like
really
this.
give it that oomph. Oh man, what fun!
There you go. So there's the sculpt, and then there's the concept. Ta-da!
That is flipping awesome. Look at that, everyone.
So from start to finish, we made our corgi probably a little bit shorter, a little bit more of a bread bowl, but that's all good.
Gotta be freshly baked.
Gotta be freshly baked.
So
there you have it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that's it. We did it.
We did it. Yay.
We made it through.
I forgot
everyone here. You are part of the completion of the D&D Paladin in ZBrush Part 4. You participated. You're here. Thank you so much for those of you that have been here since the start.
Yay.
It's been a blast. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, this is super fun. Glad we were able to wrap this guy up. Especially since you won't be here next week, and I'll have to just talk to myself. Yeah. And the chat will be here, see. But
Yeah, the chat will always be here. Y'all are gonna be here, right, chat? You gotta be here for Ashley.
Yeah, and we'll start our next character. And if you guys ever have ideas as to what you guys want to see next, definitely, maybe we can put up a poll as which D&D race or class we want to do next. We've done the druid so far, we've done and a paladin. So maybe figure out what character we do next. It'll be super fun.
I mean, I'm a fan of rogue and bards, so maybe
bard would be fun. I like bards. Bards would be cool.
Yeah, but see, that's where
bards.
And that's where the chat comes in, because then y'all can think of a different instrument, right?
Yep.
Can't just be a flute. Maybe they play the jug or something, Jug.
We have a bard in our campaign that he has a big beating drum that he brings around. So he plays the big drums and stuff. So yeah, you can be creative with it. But
sounds like a fun time.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. Again, join us on Wednesdays now from 7 to 9. This is Archetype, sponsored by Dell. I'm your host, Ashley. And this is our other host, Chris, who hopefully will be back with us. Looking forward to it. And say thanks to the Ghost Ninja that, keeps all this stuff working and functioning while I sculpt. So appreciate that too. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.